she had a dream that she was going to Disneyland with her children. Her husband wasn't there, and they were in the parking lot where they met the grandmother, the mother's mother. And the children and the mother were noticing that it was nighttime. The parking lot was dark. There were no lights on in the parking lot. Disneyland was dark inside the gates. And the young mother said to her mother, "We can't go to Disneyland. It's dark in there. It's completely dark." And she began to get panicked. And her mother had kind of an evil look. She said it was not the way her mother usually was, but she had an uncharacteristically evil look in her eyes. And she said, "Oh, we're going to Disneyland." Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Dream Dowsing. In these episodes, Margarita and I, Kim, we try to get to the bottom of what a dream means, and we use two different methods. I use symbols and interpretation of them and a little bit of intuition, and Margarita uses this beautiful pendulum. Look at that. What's that called? The spiral
This is
DNA?
it's the golden DNA spiral,
The golden
and it's
DNA
supposed to
spiral.
be connected with our DNA. As a matter of fact, I also wearing a pendant, and because they help me a lot
Yeah,
to
you
wear
have those
them.
with you. You wear them.
This one in particular moves slow, just because it is large and a little heavy, but it will connect with you.
Okay, and that pendulum is probably about what, 3 inches, 4 inches long? In case you guys can't see if you're listening while you're driving.
It's about 4 inches, I would
Yeah.
say at least. Yeah,
And it's a beautiful
beautiful.
spiral, like it's all one piece, I think you've said
It is
before.
one
Yeah.
piece.
But
Yeah.
it looks like two or three different pieces of metal spiraling around each other. It's really a beautiful,
It's
beautiful
very
pendulum.
powerful. So
Yeah. So she's going to use that while I'm giving my interpretation of a dream, and it helps me to see whether or not I'm going in the right direction. And so we want to let you know that we're going to use some dreams that we have that have been submitted to us. But if you are listening and you say, "Oh my gosh, I have a dream," I would love to have you guys take a look at it. You can go to our website at dreamdowsing.com, and there's a spot there where you can submit your dream, and it asks you to think about the dream and what the symbols might have meant to you and how you felt about the dream. Send it to us, and maybe we'll be able to choose your dream to have here on our podcast episode to try and analyze it. It'd be fun. Thank you.
Hey, Kim,
Yeah,
before
yeah.
you continue, I have a joke
Yes,
for
ma'am.
you.
Okay. What's your joke?
Well, you got me into dreams, so I saw a dream joke. It's like, oh, that looks pretty fun. So here it
Okay.
goes.
All right.
An older couple was laying in bed one morning, and the wife said, "I had a dream I was in Walmart." And the husband said, "I had a dream that I was naked with three women." The wife looked at him and said, "Was I there?" The husband replied, "No, you were at Walmart."
He got out of that one.
I thought it was pretty cute.
It is cute. It is funny. There's nothing I do about it. You were at Walmart. You made your choice. That's funny. All right, well, let's get started with a dream. And to let you know, I do look up the symbols of the dreams. Some of them I know because I've encountered them so many times. Others I do need to look up. But then there's still the matter of processing the whole thing and figuring out what the dream means, because you can look at a dream dictionary and go, okay, this means that, this means that. Now, but what does it mean? So that's where it comes in to where it's time to kind of think about it, go within and see if you can figure out what it means. And every dream symbol, let's put it this way, every dream symbol can have multiple meanings. It can be, if it's a positive dream and you had positive feelings about it, that symbol can represent one thing. If it's a negative dream, it can represent a slightly different aspect or a completely different aspect. If it means something to you personally that has nothing to do with what some people would consider to be the standard interpretation, it means something else. If you come from a different culture where this particular symbol is very special or has a very powerful meaning, then it means that. So ultimately, every time you're interpreting a dream, it comes back to what you think it means. And then, Margarita, you're using the pendulum. Can you just give a brief explanation of what the pendulum is going to be doing while I'm
Yes,
talking?
and I'm going to get up. So for anybody who's just listening to this, you may not be able to see the pendulum. And so this pendulum responds to yes, or you are in the right if it's just going back and forth. Are you
So
able to see it, Kim?
I can see it. Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
just a gentle swinging motion going back and
back
forth,
and forth. Yeah. So
meaning
when
that
Kim is
means
on the right,
yes,
yes,
right?
so you are on the right track interpreting the dream, the movie, the pendulum, because I have connected with you before the call and before we started, and it's just agreeing with you. But if at any given point, Kim is the pendulum doesn't understand, and the pendulum is a tool, by the way. It's just coming through just my intuition, my higher self. And then the pendulum will go maybe counterclockwise, and I'm moving my hand going counterclockwise, meaning it's thinking. But and Kim may say something, and the pendulum may say, "Well, I'm not sure I agree with what Kim is saying." So the pendulum is going no, and I'm moving my hand that says
Side to
no.
side, left to right.
It's side to side, correct.
Yeah.
So I'm all set. I'm just here waiting for Kim.
Okay. So I'll start with the dream, and then I'll tell you also, or she'll tell you what her pendulum is doing in case you can't see if you're not watching this episode. So this dream came from a young mother, and she had a dream that she was going to Disneyland with her children. Not her husband wasn't there, just her children, and they were in the parking lot where they met the grandmother, the mother's mother. And the children and the mother were noticing that, first of all, it was nighttime. The parking lot was dark. There were no lights on in the parking lot. Disneyland was dark inside the gates. And the young mother said to her mother, "We can't go to Disneyland. It's dark in there. It's completely dark. We can't go." And she began to get panicked. And her mother had kind of an evil look. She said it was not the way her mother usually was, but she had an uncharacteristically evil look in her eyes. And she said, "Oh, we're going to Disneyland." And so the mother woke up terrified of this dream, as anyone would, because Disneyland's fun, right? We don't ever think of anything being dark with Disneyland. So Disneyland represents what we all think it represents. It represents the happiest place on earth. It also can represent, so your spiral is spinning while I'm talking about this.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, is this really the happiest place on earth? I'm not sure. It just
Okay.
moved counterclockwise. Now it's back to you, Kim.
Yeah. So it can be. I mean, that can be it. It's like you might have a dream like you're newly in love and you're dreaming that you're at Disneyland because for you it's the happiest place on earth. It can represent a fantasy, something in your life is fantastic. It's a fantasy, it's a dream come true. But in this case, the dream was very dark and very disturbing dream. And so it could represent instead the illusion that you might want to have or that you want others to have that you are living that happiest place on earth life, but it's not real. Like you know it in your heart that it's not real. You are not at the happiest place on earth, but there could be an image that you're trying to project that you're at the happiest place on earth. And your pendulum is
Yeah, I was thinking about what
swinging.
you were just saying, but went back to yes.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. It's agreeing with me. Okay. Darkness, I think, is probably an easy one to interpret too. It's nothing, there's nothing good happening for most people in the dark. It feels creepy. It feels like there's no light. It's the absence of light. It's the absence of guidance. It's the absence of what am I supposed to do here? Or there's nothing good happening. And so there's fear that comes with that. That's just a natural emotion. And your
Yeah.
pendulum is swinging.
It's moving extremely strong. I could
I
feel
could
it
see
because
it.
I just feel when the energy is coming down my arm. When you were saying that about darkness, it's like right on. It just moves a little.
I can see, yeah.
Yeah,
It
you could see it. Okay, yeah, it was just moving a lot
Yeah.
stronger.
And in case you're not watching, Margarita's hand is still it you can see there's the slightest vibration coming because that pendulum is heavy. I've held it too. It's heavy pendulum. So if it's swinging that much, it's going to have some type of an effect.
And I have a support for those people who are not watching
Yes.
this. I have my hand, my arm, because sometimes I do, my arm can get tired. So
Yeah.
it's a good support. So if it moves, it's just the movement of the pendulum that will move my hand. But I have it as support, so it won't move as much.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So she's not trying to swing it. And I've used a pendulum before too. You can just feel it, what it's doing in your hand too. Um, and so then the grandmother, well, so it's not her grandmother, it's the children's grandmother, but the dreamer's mother. Mother represents intuition. And we're just going to say grandmother so we're clear on this. So the grandmother has a look on her face that's evil and very negative, and she's saying, we're going to go do this. We're going to Disneyland. But just the look on her face is intuition that is negative, and it can be that your intuition's negative, like you're not good at this, at using your intuition, or it could be that you're not trusting your intuition. You don't think your intuition's good. It's coming from you. It's not really coming from an outside source. It's all really about you, that you are not trusting that your intuition is good. Like that you might have a sense about something, but you don't want to follow it because you don't trust it. The pendulum is swinging in circles here, which
It's
means it's
thinking about
thinking.
what you are saying.
Okay.
It's just thinking. So it's going to come with a yes or no about what you just said.
Okay.
What you think about intuition. Still moving.
Okay. It's still circling. So
Now it's back to yes.
back to yes. Okay.
Yeah. Because
So
the pendulum is interpreting. Sometimes it's just, well, this is another, yeah, it's just hard to explain sometimes. So just keep going.
yeah. Okay. And so the grandmother was saying, we're going to Disneyland. The intuition is that you could go through with this charade. You could continue to go through with this charade that this is the happiest place on earth, that you are living that life, that you have come to the happiest place on earth. And look at me, I got it all. The other interpretation is if you need to trust yourself that you are in a bad spot, and you need to admit that to yourself that you're in a bad spot. How does the pendulum feel about that one?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So so I think that is the ultimate interpretation of the dream, is that the mother was experiencing that something in her life is not going the way that she wants it to. She's trying to not let anybody else see that, but she needs to confront it. She needs to confront that things are not the fantasy that she's trying to project to everybody else.
And Kim, that's just a very accurate answer because the pendulum is just moving strong.
Swinging that
I
way.
can feel it, so that's correct.
The kids could actually be her kids in the dream, or kids can represent projects, little ideas, things that mean something to us, things we're working on, and that they're there, but
That's moving. That's more so what it
okay.
is, the
So
project.
they're part of that fantasy. So, or the opposite of a fantasy. That something has to do with maybe some projects that she's uh, working on that are not, um, whatever, for whatever reason, they're not real. They're not as fantastic as she wants them to be in her own heart or in projection in public.
Yep. That's more like the children in the dream are those projects.
The
I can
projects.
say it's the
Okay.
most accurate. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so a very interesting dream, a very creepy dream. I mean, just imagine that's really you. You're going to Disneyland and the parking lot's dark and the lights are off, and someone's saying, "Oh no, we're going in there." I mean, that's pretty scary. So I
Yeah.
can see why that was a scary dream.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think you have said that's the thing about dreams is how they make you feel.
Yes. Yeah.
That's kind of one of the most important things too.
Yeah. But sometimes now somebody will take a dream like that, and they'll take a dream like that and think, like, let's say they had a Disneyland trip coming up in a couple weeks, and they would take that as like, we shouldn't go to Disneyland. The lights are going to be out. It's going to be a very scary place. Something bad is happening, especially in this year in 25. People get panicked about stuff, and they can overinterpret things, thinking
Mm,
this is a foreshadowing of a horrible trip.
that's
Where
very true. What
and
you just
yeah,
said.
and your
That it's
pendulum
just
is
moving very strongly
swinging.
when you
Yeah,
say that. Overinterpreting.
I can see it. Yeah, it's swinging perpendicular to Margarita. Yes. Um, a lot of times things that are happening, dreams will come in that mean something to you. So Disneyland means something to you. You've planned a trip to go there. So yeah, that's something that's on your mind. Your symbols that are used in your dream are coming from your higher self or your spirit guides or whatever you want to use, whatever language you want to use. they speak to you or you're speaking to yourself in a language that you're going to understand. It resonates with you. So it doesn't mean that the trip to Disneyland is doomed. It's just speaking in a language that you will understand. So don't need to cancel your trip to Disneyland if this is your dream. It's just you understand how what Disneyland means to you, and there's something that you're going to understand in this one, even though it might take you a while to get it. This is what the dream is. It's tricky because the symbols are like they're usually everyday symbols. It's not something weird. It's just that you have to take the time to try and understand it, and sometimes it's hard to do that. A lot of times it's hard to do that. So
Okay.
okay,
That's good.
yeah, I think that's good. Why don't we talk a little bit more about intuition and stuff like that?
Okay. Thank
If
you.
you want to sit down again. So yeah,
Thank you for the
Margarita stands up with that so you can see the pendulum swinging a little bit more
yeah.
easily. Yeah.
Mhm.
So sometimes I wonder like why isn't a dream just more clear? Like why isn't it just something very obvious to you? Like a little, a little drama that you could see, like someone's telling you, like someone's
Mhm.
speaking to you very clearly. Well, here's what you're doing wrong and you're focusing on this, you should be focusing here or but it's what I've been told, what I've read is that our higher selves and our spirit guides don't speak in the language that we speak in. They don't sit around speaking in the kind of vernacular that we use. But these symbols are used in a way that do mean something to us. It's a way of communicating with us. And plus, it's just more fun. It's just fun to try and figure out what these things mean. But it's definitely
Kim,
harder. Yeah.
how did you get into dreams, by the way? I'm not sure if we talk about it.
I mean, I have always been aware of my dreams from the time I was a young girl. I have dreams that I remember very specifically from when I was a toddler and a preschooler. I remember them very clearly. Um, and then I had dreams. Well, I grew up in the era when people were always worried about nuclear war, the Cold War era, I guess they call it in the 80s, 70s. But I remember having dreams like that I was wearing a certain flannel nightgown and nuclear bombs were coming. And I, at that time, was like, I'm never wearing that nightgown again because that is something to do with a nuclear war. And so, seriously, I put that thing away and it went into the Goodwill pile and I never wore it again. I was probably a bit of an overreaction because I couldn't understand dreams at the time, but I've just always been interested in them. And then a few years ago, got into a dream group that we started based on Edgar Casey's dream groups and how you can interpret the dreams using other people to help you and that's how I got into it and then just practicing. It's really about practicing, which is true of any of these intuitive skills. It's about practicing. You have to keep up with it, like you with your pendulum. I have taken a stab at it and I have pendulums like you do and you've given me a beautiful one, but I don't practice every day like you do. This is your thing, is the pendulum.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
your
No,
gift,
it
your
helps
tool.
a lot. Talking about intuition. I mean, besides meditation, intuition is one way that you can really connect with your higher self because that's what it is. That's what you are connecting with.
Yeah.
I read recently something that was just really beautiful, and I'm not sure where I have it. Oh, hold on one second. I'll read it because that's what intuition is.
It's connecting with your higher self.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I just wrote it in my board because I have a board where I like to write phrases that I'm focusing on, and it says all knowledge is written in the soul, the image of God.
Well, that's beautiful.
I think it's beautiful. It just speaks in everything, all philosophies, everything. They always connect kind of to the same thing. Different words, it depends the time in
Yes.
history, the philosophy. But I thought, oh my God, this is just really beautiful. I just had it this week, and it just really got to me.
Yeah, that is really beautiful. I mean, you and I use this phrase a lot. The truth is the truth is the truth. And it just, you can hear it in any any religion, any spiritual practice, there will be these things that will show up again and again and again across all of them. And that's because it's the truth. And
It's the
so
truth.
it just
There's
people
only
say it in
one
different
truth.
ways. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like what you said about the intuition too, also, is that some people feel like I don't have that. I don't have that intuitive capability. I don't have that or people say I lost my soul a long time ago, or my soul died a long time ago. No, that's not true. Everybody has it. It's just a matter of learning to connect to it. Again, it's there. You just need to connect to it.
Yeah. And sometimes the word intuition, you think it's something, which is something extremely important, but it's also, it shows up in different ways. A lot of people will go into a room where there are a lot of people and don't feel comfortable. That's intuition. Like there's a reason why we just don't think about it. Or I think with places is usually where I feel it that it could be where most people it's a feeling. I guess that's what it is. Intuition. If you have that feeling that, oh, I shouldn't do this, even just that alone, that's part of intuition. It's just some people who are into deep meditation and high spiritual practices, which you need to do, just be aware on a daily basis. Then the intuition is just much deeper. They are connected, let's say, all the time, or most of the time. So that's a difference. Like there's always a degree to everything. And
Yeah.
sometimes, and so that's really it's just a degree, I think. But I think, of course, we all have it. We all come from the same source.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just
So,
that awareness. That's the difference, in my opinion. What do you think?
oh yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, if you think of the sun and it has a bazillion rays coming out of it, I mean, every ray came from the same source. It's just some, guess you could say, just are more aware of the fact that they came from that source, and so they're more connected to it, and they're more spend more time looking back up at the sun. And others are they're out there and they just don't look back again, and they just aren't aware that they're still connected to the source, to the sun. So
Yeah, yeah, and I think that comes back because I'm all about saying since and all things one of the things that I paint on my rack that I love, and I have it at the entrance to my house, is we are here to love and grow. So we are
beautiful.
all, as long as we love, because we come from love,
Yeah.
and but then the growing aspect, it's just we all have a little bit of the same thing, just different degrees.
Yeah, I agree. And I think as long as your focus is on love, you are growing. You don't have to work at it. I just think if you do try, attempt to do your meditation, you attempt to connect with earth and earth elements, or really trying to give back, I think you might grow a little faster than somebody who's just out here just hanging out, which is all great. We all get there. We all get back to the sun at some point in time.
Yeah, at some
Yeah.
point in time, that's very true. I agree with that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's probably a good spot to end this episode of Dream
Oh,
Dowsing.
that
Yeah,
went fast, at
yeah,
least for
I
me.
know we were having a good time. So I know we have other things to discuss, and we'll discuss them in our next episode. But we do want to remind you that you can go to dreamdowsing.com and submit your dream, because we would love to interpret it for you. As always, with all of our dreams, it's up to you to decide whether or not the dream resonates with you. The thing about interpreting dreams is you learn something about yourself, even if you're doing it for somebody else. There's always a message for everybody in every dream, which is really neat. And if you did like this episode, just hit the like button, the thumbs up down there. Let us know how we're doing. And you can also share it with other people, which is really nice. Sharing is caring. And you can also subscribe so that you'll get notifications every time we have a new episode out.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. And have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.